were you enticed to do it without even looking at the script, or was it the fact that the character had a little bit more development? We get to find out more about David this time around.
I think it was both. I mean, one part of it is contractual. The other part of it is, doing a character who you know already is a kind of interesting place to go back to. But yeah, it was surreal because, as you said, it was I think it was my third job ever as an actor that I did the first Underworld that I did. So going back to that world, but it's all anchored by Kate, and she's a great kind of central heroine to anchor something like this because she, she's good, but also she takes it kind of for what it is. It's fun, and that's what it should be. It should be entertainment.
I wanted to ask you about that because the relationship between the characters is very like business-like, work partners. But I mean, Kate's a lot of fun. So how is sort of being in that relationship with her, and are you able to be playful with each other when you're not working? So because I find that the relationship between Selene and David very interesting because it's very cut and dry.
I know. David in reality is constantly trying to have vampire sex with her, but she's saying,
I mean, aren't we all?
Exactly, that's true, aren't we all? But yeah, I guess they're a bit more kind of like brother and sister in that way. I think the choice was it could have been easy to do a kind of romance thing, but I think with the history of the franchise and stuff, it was more interesting that it was a bit more platonic. But yeah, definitely we were able to have a laugh in between, and I think that's important with a film where you're cutting people's heads off.
Speaking to that, I thought that this one, and I want your opinion on it. I thought that this one was a little bit gorier, and which is interesting in having a female director. So, do you think it's a perception, or did you feel that while shooting it?
Yeah, it probably was a little bit more. I think. Yeah,
I mean, we see a spine, and you get a surgery in the middle of your stomach. So
I think Anna, the director, wanted to embrace kind of what it is, as opposed to pretending it's something else. And that sounds very cryptic, but that was as far as take it back to kind of the Gothic look, the Gothic architecture, the sword play, embrace the fun, and also embrace the hyper violence in a kind of hyper real way. It's not realism, it's telling a kind of a fantastical story, and if you have that, then why not play with those elements as much as you can.
All right. So not all characters in a franchise get to mature, which does happen to your character in this one. So was that sort of refreshing? Because sometimes characters are sort of asked to do the same thing in each movie and they don't grow. So was it sort of interesting?
Well, he didn't have a hairy chest, and now he's got extremely hairy chest.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about that sort of growth.
No,
so.
I don't. Yeah, he did, and that's fun. He is a bit more solid and grounded, a little grumpier, but also he goes through this concept of finding the fact that he could be a leader. So it's fun to play that.
Studios are kind of now obsessed with universe and sort of exploring different aspects of universe. Would you be open to a sole Underworld movie with just David and what he gets to do? Or?
I think the franchise doesn't exist without Selene. So I think David's story may have been told as far as it can go, but. Because I think the heart of it's Kate, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the Divergent series? Has been your co-star has been that's whole the jump to TV. Is that? I see that you're still listed as doing that. Is that even important, or would you rather feel that you're part of the completing that story that you've been playing out for all these time?
I think it's a shame that we're not going to finish the franchise, but yeah, I won't be part of the evolution of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, given that you've been doing different types of things, but given that, is it a different experience as an actor when you're don't have to service sort of the world? I know you have a Ben Kingsley movie where it's the United Nations, it's grounded in reality. Is it a different experience? Do you find those a little bit more refreshing where you just don't have to service a universe in a sense?
Yes, sometimes. Yeah, you're right. It's big now in the bigger budget stuff. It's all about world creation and the hyper real. So sometimes it's nice to come down from that and just tell a more reality-based story, and also sometimes a little easier because you have, like this movie you were talking about, the Ben Kingsley one. He has the character has existed in real life, so there's a history. There's what he did. He was a lawyer. You have anchors that you can actually pull from as an actor rather than kind of existing in this very hyper real world.
So you've done sci-fi, played a vampire, any sort of fantastical type of role that you would like to check off the bucket list, or you don't think of it that way when you choose?
Yeah, I guess I don't really. There's no bucket list. My brother was always obsessed with space movies, so maybe I'd do one for him.
There's
But
a space opera around here.
a space opera,
Yeah,
I should do a space opera. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, pleasure talking to you, sir.
Good to see you, man.
All right.